but it's the bottom of the table that's really been just incredible, isn't it? So let's have a chat about the most recent results, the big movers at the weekend, the big losers. Who's going to, come on, someone's got to go. Who's going to be departing this division with Rotherham?
Feels like we've done this. I'd love someone to make a montage of all the times we've done this season, but it has just been, when you compare it back, Sam, to some of the other relegations where we've kind of known in January sometimes who the three teams are gonna be. But here we are, 3 games to go, and you already mentioned it in your kind of monologue at the beginning, Sam. 4 wins in the bottom 9 once again. Now, we've got a lot to talk about, so I won't go chapter and verse on every team. First question to you, Sam. Great wins for Millwall and Blackburn, who are now 16th and 17th from 50 and 49. I think you can see where I'm going with this. Are we today ruling off Millwall and Blackburn with 50 and 49 points? And just talk about their weekend results for me, please.
I don't know. I don't know what that bar is going to be set at now after the most recent. I think 49 was probably my sentiment last week. I don't know. It might have shifted to 50 now. So maybe some work to do for Blackburn still. Incredible win. Obviously, I think relying on a bit of luck, obviously, at Leeds, a really good goalkeeping performance. And I've been a bit, I've probably taken them to task a little bit in that department this season, Blackburn. Don't think that they've been brilliant. The goalkeepers, but Pears was really good, made some good saves, changed the shape. So, no surprise really. Going to get an extra centre half in there when you're playing one of the big guns, and Carter, I think, makes a big difference to Blackburn. And you could look at the chances, and although Leeds had far and away more shots, and that Bamford header was probably the most glaring one, or the shoulder. But Smodics arguably had as good a chance as anything that Leeds created before they scored. So he got in for a good one. I think Blackburn only had the 3 attempts or something. So no surprise there. But yeah, colossal victory for them, especially when consider.
We didn't like their fixtures remaining after this either, did we? So it's a hell of a win, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was about to say so Sheffield Wednesday, then Coventry and Leicester, wasn't it? The Coventry game, obviously, the narrative is probably going to change behind that. In fact, I'm feeling like maybe they've run their race. Amazing win for Blackburn. Didn't really see it coming, although they won at Sunderland handsomely, and they played really well in that Southampton goalless draw. So maybe like all these teams, just you got to look at the individual game on the merit, cut them a little bit of slack. And Millwall. Obviously, I will talk about this in more glowing terms when I reveal to anyone who missed last week's podcast. I actually not only predicted the result of this,
bonus point.
And I think I said that old Obafemi was going to come good as well. So
he did.
Just a magic week for Millwall. Getting pegged back in this one as well. Jake Cooper getting a bit of a rare goal these days. We've been getting a little bit of criticism. I think the want to hit him from every set piece has not been as fruitful as it once was for Millwall. So that was interesting seeing him, and then a nice moment for Duncan Watmore and the Millwall fans to get that goal. And yeah.
But Sam, with that 50, come on, there is no way. And look at the goal difference as well. Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield would need 7 points from 3 games to go past them. And Birmingham would need 6 from 3 games. I think Millwall can lose all their games now, and there's just not going to be that swell from below them, I don't think, Sam.
No, and you got to factor in, which is difficult and probably adds to the haze in my mind this morning. You've got to factor in that these teams are all playing each other as well somewhere.
Only that. QPR, Sam, don't have a head-to-head.
Yeah, so teams are going to take points off each other. It's going to practically become impossible for some of these teams to accumulate the points to catch the likes of Blackburn and Millwall. So, yeah, massive week for them. Didn't really see it coming. And again, just a incredible example of, I suppose, football fans, modern football fans. Neil Harris wasn't the man a week ago, was he? And all of a sudden, he's completely, in particular, revitalised their home form, which, clearly that has been miles away from the successful campaigns they've had in the Championship. I mean, it's been terrible, really, in comparison. So to get 2 home wins is really special for the supporters, and almost there.
Right. So you were there on, let's deal with Plymouth on their own. And we'll try not to make this segment run too long, but there's so much to talk about. You were there for an incredible win for Plymouth. And I know we're going to talk about the top of the table after we've done this segment, but we were all worried. I think we even put it out as a clip. Will Plymouth's manager gamble pay off? Bang, bang, back-to-back wins and back-to-back clean sheets. And yeah, they probably could have gone behind against Leicester. You're going to know that way better than me. But they're on to 48 now. Just looking at that next one, Stoke away. I can think of a million reasons why Plymouth fans are going to want to win that one. And then they've got Millwall as well. But maybe it's better that Millwall are maybe already going to be safe by that point. But it's not back-to-back wins, but it is 7 points in 3 games for Plymouth. 48 points, Sam. I think they're okay, aren't they?
Yeah. I had a bit of an episode getting into the car park on Friday night, and I was subsequently, I was going to say heckled, but there was a fan of the show, or certainly a listener to the show, shouted that he'd certainly take the draw, which was what I'd predicted this to be the outcome. So that was nice. And then, I think everything that, gets written about the siege mentality that can be created at Argyle was really evident to me on the night. Again, there was a period early on when Leicester got through the lines, through the middle of Plymouth, and I thought that was quite ominous. And then those 2 wire players just narrowed off a little bit, Whittaker and Bundu, and I think that gave them that that box midfield that we talk about so often. Probably initially under Mark Robbins, and then at Coventry, and then Stephen Schumacher played it a lot at Argyle, and that just stopped them a little bit in their tracks. Meant that they had to go wide. And I think even the early substitution, Edwards on for Miller, wasn't the worst thing in the world. Edwards and Barley Mumber have played so much at wing back. I think they had good support to those outside centre halves, and they did well to negate Mavididi once more and Fatawu, who didn't really have that impact that I anticipated after him coming off the bench at Millwall. Still, I worried for Argyle that they weren't really progressing the ball at the pitch. That connection between the rest of the team. I thought Forshaw was brilliant, by the way, in midfield. I thought his calmness, his experience, his pass for the only goal of the game was brilliant. Thought he was excellent, but I did worry about them getting too camped in. How are they going to get up? How are they going to still continue to pose a little bit of a threat once they'd gone ahead and still had an hour or so to play? But I thought the tactical change from the interim, Neil Dewsnip, was brilliant. Essentially, he had 4 centre-halves across the back line. Galloway, Scar, Gibson, Pleguezuelo, memory serves. And then those 2 wing-backs. So they know that role, don't they? They just tucked in. It was like a back 6 at times. And I thought Ben Waine really added some energy as the forward
runner, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and Hardy just can't complete games, can he? The way that he plays, because he's just, he's a goal scoring threat, but he's just a nuisance, and he just runs so much. So I thought he got his sub spot on. I thought he got his tactics spot on, and I'll leave Leicester for a little chat later on. Brilliant win, and it's amazing what spirit can do, when everyone's unified. So. Yeah, enjoyed my trip there. Deserved their win, and eating a bit of humble pie, me, because I thought they were gone, didn't I, a few weeks ago?
Well, strange days indeed. Right, so 2 more before we get down to the bottom 4, where there is a 2-point gap. And I mean, I've been here a million times, Sam. I said Plymouth was safe when they got 40 points, probably 8 games ago, whatever it was. I thought QPR was safe when they were 16, 3 games ago. So we've now got QPR and Stoke on 47, and then there's that little 2-point gap down, which does make me feel if you're QPR and Stoke and you win one more game, you're all right, aren't you? Hitting that 50-point mark, which you're asking a lot of Birmingham, Huddersfield, and Wednesday, then, aren't you? Bit of a disappointment though for Rangers. 1 point in the last 3 games. Stoke haven't won in 4 either. Sam, Rangers, Preston home, Leeds home, Coventry away, as you pointed out, might be a dead rubber. Stoke, Plymouth home, Southampton away, Bristol City home. I think that's a dead rubber on the last game of the season. You see both of those two sticking one more win or 2 more draws on to get to 49 or 50?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to give myself a bit of clarity this morning, and you're looking at that bottom 4, even with Birmingham's win, and thinking it could be between, obviously Rotherham are gone, but it could be between Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield and Birmingham now. That said, QPR 100% bang, right back in trouble if they don't beat Preston at the weekend. That all of a sudden becomes an enormous game. And I suppose the saving grace to a degree, I don't know if it's a saving grace, but it's a 5:15 kickoff. So Preston's fate,
I know what's happened, right,
will probably be decided because they're at Southampton obviously Tuesday night, and then Norwich will have played before them. And I think if they were to lose at St Mary's and if Norwich were to win their game at 3:00 on Saturday, that's them done. I think there's not enough points to play for. So that could play into QPR's hands, into to everyone else's thought process. So for that reason, QPR will be hoping for that. But yeah, I thought they were poor at the weekend. Scored 4 in the last 7. Obviously 1 point from the last 3. I would probably question the goalkeeper on the first one. I know we're probably going to talk about that later on. Tufan's goal. And ultimately, I think, yes, Sheffield Wednesday at home was disappointing, but they probably could have won at Sunderland relatively recently. I think that was a missed chance, and they probably could have won at Argyle. Obviously, I spoke to a lot of people down in Plymouth on Friday, and they didn't think they were particularly at the races in midweek. QPR had the game won, and it was a goalkeeping mistake, and obviously an own goal off Adoma that gave them a share of the spoils. So in typical QPR fashion, they'll probably lose at home to Preston and go and beat Leeds the following Friday. But for everyone of a similar blue and white persuasion to me, I prefer them to get it done this Saturday. But yeah, it's a bit of a collapse, isn't it, over the last 3?
With Stoke, we'll talk about mouthwatering matchup later. That game against Plymouth is just so massive for so many reasons, especially if Southampton, which, you've got to travel to Southampton in round 45. If Saints are still in with a sniff, and again, we'll discuss that later in the show, that they might all of a sudden be again. Don't lose to Plymouth. Southampton away is hard, and then are they in it on the last day, Sam?
Yeah, I suppose it's just that lack of cohesion with Stoke, isn't it? The lack of consistency. I think it's 1 win in 6. You don't know what they're really going to churn out. I think they could have been out of sight here at Sheffield Wednesday in the first half. So credit to them for sticking in, getting a point. I don't think it was a particularly front-footed performance, which you would expect maybe from Stephen Schumacher in different circumstances, but it needs must at the moment, staying in the division. And there's not a great deal else I can add about them. Looking ahead to this weekend, you've got 2 guys who I'd imagine know each other's football philosophies, thought process on setups, tactics, better than probably anyone else.
The other one's boss up until a while ago, right? Yeah,
exactly. So these 2 are going to be incredibly well aligned. Whether that means that, there'll be a little bit of, cat and mouse. Maybe someone could throw a little bit of a surprise into the mix, but it's clearly a really good narrative, isn't it, for everyone watching on? And you just don't know with Stoke, do you? You just don't know. They're liable to throw in all of a sudden a decent performance, but then they went and lost at Swansea by 3-0. So yeah, this weekend's massive. I I don't know, would they take the point again? Probably would, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and when you were talking about that, we're going to come on to Wednesday now. It was just vital they did not lose to Wednesday at Hillsborough, wasn't it? Because the draw is fine, isn't it? It's the 3-point swing if Wednesday had have beaten them, obviously, at the weekend. Right. So here's where the real action was, and here's where the real action is going to be now in these remaining 3 rounds. So Birmingham had a really, frankly, I don't know if you agree with me, Sam, you can answer in a minute, maybe the biggest win of the weekend, maybe Blackburn at Leeds, I don't know, but given where Birmingham are and that performance, to beat Coventry in the way they did was absolutely tremendous. Huddersfield, so close to winning at Bristol City, and I know you have comments to make on the nature of the equalising goal there for Bristol City. And Wednesday, you've already mentioned, Sam, that just too many draws, and that would have been the one, wouldn't it? If they'd beaten Stoke, Wednesday would be on 46, wouldn't they? Stoke would be on 45, and Wednesday would have been out of the bottom 3. Before you answer, Sam, really quickly, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn away, West Brom at home, Sunderland away, Huddersfield, Swansea at home, and then, my God, Birmingham at home, round 45 for Huddersfield, Ipswich away on the last day of the season. Birmingham, now this might be the key game, is Rotherham away, because is that the one where Birmingham can push themselves to 48 points and they've got a massive advantage if they do? If not, then Birmingham versus Huddersfield becomes, and they're away as well, becomes the mother of all relegation 6-pointers. Birmingham will face Norwich on the final day of the season. We already think Norwich are probably going to be in the playoffs. Sam, there is the 2-point gap. What the hell do you make of this now with 21st, 22nd and 23rd?
It's difficult, isn't it? I think you can look at all the teams and make positive cases for them being able to get out of it and accumulate points, because not many of them are playing like top teams that are going for things. There's points to be won there, even for Sheffield Wednesday in their fixtures. I thought Birmingham would win at the weekend. I don't know if I did say that. I think I said Coventry would probably win at Birmingham, but I think that Birmingham's survival hopes were going to come from some victories at home at St Andrews. So, I was surprised by the magnitude of the win. I don't think they probably had 3 goals in them. I spoke about maybe not a negative lineup, but maybe the lack of creativity in the last lineup across the front position. So it was interesting to see Gary Rowett rejig it. Bielik was in the back 4 centre half, and then to reintroduce Tyler Roberts and Keshi Anderson, who was very good. I thought was quite an interesting roll of the dice for them, and it obviously paid off in a big way. They've also got obviously the 7-goal better goal difference than Huddersfield, which invariably could come into play, which meant that victory was even greater really at the weekend. But it was a brilliant win, and obviously puts them in good stead for the games ahead. Huddersfield, I don't think they conceded much on their own goal. I think Tom Lee's coming back in, I read, was a really good move, and credit to him, because I don't think he's played much football. Certainly probably wasn't at full fitness. I look at that side with Jonathan Hogg out for the weekend now, and there's quite a youthful look to the midfield and the forward positions. Obviously, Huddersfield always had decent experience in the back line and in the goalkeeper. But I think that's an interesting point just at this stage of the season. A little bit of maybe inexperience there, but does that free up the mind and free up some of those players on the flip side? But this game should have been done at Bristol City. I think that's clear as day. So they have to take a little bit of criticism for not getting the job done. But we've seen 2 in a week now, haven't we? I mean, when I saw that penalty decision flash up, I couldn't believe that was given. I don't like those ones ever. If it's quite close proximity and there's a defender flinging themselves at it, even if it does strike the arm. I think it was relatively close to the player's body. I didn't think it was a penalty. And I think that's really harsh on Huddersfield. Really harsh. That could have been a enormous 3 points. So they're the ones, aren't they? Probably right now above anyone else in that relegation mire. Sheffield Wednesday got a point. Played pretty well for a half. And Huddersfield players will be reeling.
Right. So the way I'm seeing this now is if I'm Sheffield Wednesday or a Huddersfield fan, I'm thinking probably 4 points. 4 points to take you to 48 would get you in contention on the basis others are gonna score points as well. It's difficult, Sam. We're probably almost looking for the wrong thing saying that. What might tell us is someone's going to lose all 3 games, aren't they? And that might be the team that we're looking at. I always say every year, Sam, there is no relegation chase if the teams below the line don't stick points on the board. But as you've mentioned, I can see them. I can see them doing that. Do you have any kind of read to round out this segment? If we do the points per game route, I think Huddersfield and Wednesday go to like 46.92, which would make 47 your safety total, which maybe then, as you've suggested, Birmingham at Rotherham is the biggest game of the entire run-in, and maybe that locks everything up. But would I be surprised if we got a 7-point Sheffield Wednesday or a 0-point Stoke or anything like that? No, I wouldn't. Final thoughts, Sam?
I don't know, mate. I think I've probably tried to, in my mind, think that, QPR will beat Preston, Stoke will maybe, get a point or better against Argyle, and then it'll be a little bit more crystal for the last couple of weeks of the season that it'll be, a shootout between Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield and Birmingham. But I suppose that seed of doubt comes from Birmingham putting on a bit of a show against Coventry at the weekend. So I don't know. I just think, it's ever changing, and I'd be a fool to make any strong predictions. So I'm going to abstain this afternoon and say thank you to Championship again for providing us with such a marvellous league.
Just insane, isn't it? And all it's going to take is a couple of wins at this place of the table and a couple of defeats up here, and everything's switching around. And maybe we'll be sat here on the final show before round 46, Sam, and be the only time we'll be able to go, right, I think this is going to happen now and these teams are going to drop. But we'll clip that one out. Sorry, it's a bit of a long segment, that one, but so much to talk about down the bottom there. Get your comments in if you're watching on the clip